We got people pouring in from all over. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Jennifer Blanco. I am the Director of Customer Marketing here at Acton, and I'm super excited to have you all join us today for our Email Composer open beta product demo. This is something that's been a long time in the works, and given the excitement that we've seen by registrations and a lot of the great feedback that we've already had, we are thrilled to have you all join us and showcase this new product and feature today. A few housekeeping items before I introduce everybody else. I just want to let everybody know that this is being recorded, so if you have to run or if somebody didn't make it, we will be sending out a recording. And then we are going to be accepting questions throughout our demo. So please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A box there at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and you can go ahead and ask questions. So let me introduce our other presenters today. I am joined by Olaf Kaulik, who is our VP of Product, and Maggie Kern, who's a Senior Product Manager and has been championing this product all the way to the finish line. Like I said, we're super excited, and with that, we're just gonna jump in. So I'll hand it off to the two of you.
Well, thanks. I think I'm up first with the next slide, just talking about some of the goals behind the new Composer. So really excited to finally get this out to customers and get your feedback on it. We had about a handful of key objectives we wanted to improve in the new Composer. The first one was around the email, just the creation experience. So you'll see that we've added a lot more options for background colors, for images, for borders. It's really making emails highly configurable along with alignment. Saved content, saved rows is another new feature in that area, along with a completely redesigned Litmus preview integration for those of you who use Litmus. We've also improved the setup experience. So things like UTM parameter configuration that's been consolidated and improved to make it easier to use. And we've had a lot of feedback around the way that the Composer allows you to save and undo your work. So you'll see improvements in that as well. Mobile was one area that we really wanted to emphasize and improve. So now you have ability to edit in the native mobile form factor. So you can see it as it'll appear on mobile as you're editing. We have dark mode, stacking options, as well as hiding of content on mobile and the desktop. And finally, we have more options for the testing experience. So you can customize the subject line. You can add individual recipients to the test email at the time that you're sending it. You can also add instructions in the email itself so that the recipients see some guidance in the header of the email. And we've also improved the checks and validations. So on the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about some of the customer feature requests that we've added into this product. So when we do new product development, we always go back and historically look at what's been requested in that area. So this time we were able to pick up a lot of individual requests. So saved rows, as I mentioned, that's the new feature, native mobile editing. Adding recipients one at a time in real time as you're sending the mail, improved parameters, configuration for UTM parameters. So these go into your links in the email. As I mentioned, undo, redo, and autosave. You'll see those in the demo. More fine-grained background color configuration, customizing the subject line of test emails, dark mode preview, a new video block. One item that's been requested quite a bit is emojis in the subject line, so we now have that. You can set the background image, as I mentioned, stacking and hiding on mobile. We have a new superscript option for fonts and better button configurations. There's a whole new button block. And again, more control over borders within the content elements. So really excited to bring that all out to you. And I think now Maggie's going to do a live demo.
Great. Thank you, Olaf. Let me get out of that and bring you over to Acton. So we are currently working on expanding where the new composer is right now, but there are several places that you can find it. Email templates being one, as well as form confirmation emails, automated programs. You'll start seeing the beta pill, it's kind of just what we're calling it, throughout the product as we continue to expand its reach. So as you're creating new emails, you can create new templates. You will also start seeing our new banners. These are going to indicate where the new composer is. So if you start from scratch, you'll be taken to the new composer. If you click blank email at this time, you'll still go back to our legacy composer. But drafts, templates, and send messages, all of these currently have new composer capabilities. So when you open them, you'll see a mix of the emails created in the legacy composer as well as our new composer. And as I mentioned, the beta pill is going to start being kind of shared throughout the app to let you know where your new emails are. So diving straight into the composer itself, I'll touch on some of the things that Olaf mentioned, but some of this is remain the same. A lot of it's moved or changed, but we're trying to improve your user experience. So as Olaf mentioned, we've got the emojis in the subject line. We've also added some character counts to let you know how close you're getting to our recommended limits. We've improved the sender fields as well. You can now search, which is nice for those of you that have several senders. But the bulk of the updates are in the design tab. So there are a couple of major updates here. One, there's no stationery. And two, the rich text editor, we've transitioned away from the rich text editor, and now we're going into rows and blocks. So as you can see, each one of these is kind of a row. In the row, you can add blocks to it to create kind of the various visuals that you see here. So this is a great example of one row that we have, and you can see we've got 2 columns, and in it we've got several blocks. Now, say you create a row that you really like and you want to be able to use later, well, you can do that. So you can now save your rows. And then if you want to go see them in the future, oh, let me refresh this real quick. Sorry, I've had this up for a long time. Let me. Now you can see that it's there, and this is available for everyone in your account. So if there are pieces that you reuse fairly often, then this is the great place where you can go find them and then drag them in as needed. If you ultimately decide you no longer need it, it's easy enough to delete. Another thing about the row concept is now dynamic content is also at the row level. So you can click on kind of the edge of any of these and then scroll down in your row content, and then you can edit those dynamic content conditions. As Olaf mentioned, we also have new native mobile editing. So as you can see here, we've got some images with some text next to it. In the rows itself, you can decide whether you want it to stack on mobile and what order you'd like it. And then here you are, you can then see it, how it would render on mobile specifically. So if you want to change the order, easy enough to do that. As you can see, as I'm making all these changes, we are auto-saving.
Yeah, and I have to say, Maggie, that's been a favorite of the marketing team so far. Obviously, just to be able to toggle between the desktop and mobile version, but then to easily change the vertical alignment or how things stack there has been huge. So it's a big time save for us as we're starting to think about the mobile experience much differently.
Good. That's great to hear. And something that we're loving as well. If there are things that you want to display on desktop or mobile, you can also decide if you want to hide certain components as well. So all of this, then once you've got your email as you want it, we've got a new test capabilities. So as Olaf mentioned, you can now add individuals that you want, or you can send to your test recipients. We have further options where if you want to, we want to test a marketing email, you can then type instructions, make sure to confirm mobile stacking. And then hit send. And that can be sent or shared, as I said, to individuals or to your test recipients.
Yeah, one thing to call out there I think is really nice too, Maggie, is previously you had to have somebody in your test list, right? And you would select them to send to. And now with these new test options, you can actually just type in an email address so you could send it to anybody within your organization. There's no additional setup required. So kind of the sky's the limit there, which makes it really nice when you're trying to test something, maybe for a specific team or a specific campaign.
Definitely. So yeah, so you don't have to add them to your test recipient list. You still have your test recipient list for all of your everyday activities. But if, as Jennifer said, if there is a one-off, a specific person that needs to validate, you can now do that straight through this interface without having to go outside the application. The last tab that I've got is the send details. This is going to have everything related to your recipients. The send methods have largely remained the same. Your suppression rules, as well as, any sort of CRM integration. The last page on here is going to be a review and send, and this is basically your final check to make sure you've met all of your criteria for sending. I clearly have critical errors because I don't have anybody to send it to right now. But this will tell you kind of any of the places that you need to go update prior to being able to send. So that is the major parts of the demo.
Hey, Maggie, would you mind going back? There was one more thing that I wanted to share, and I think that we called it out just briefly in the design tab. But I did want to share the vertical alignment sort of in the section that we had there with the different images. So previously, I think we used to, there is still a table option, but previously the way that this used to be built in Acton's Legacy Builder was more using tables to kind of align things, but then you didn't actually have necessarily all of the controls to align things top, center, or bottom, and now you do. And so there is an option for vertical alignment Maggie's looking at right there, and you can easily align everything in a row, so it looks really nice. But that's also been something that we discovered and is a favorite of our team as well.
Great. So I will pop back over to the slideshow. So where we're going, the goal right now is to make this composer as widely available as we can. We want to add it to all of the areas that the current composer is. So webinars, Acton Anywhere, anywhere that you can access our current composer, we are working to disseminate the new composer. We're also adding the event triggered email and creating new plain text emails using this new composer. As I mentioned, you'll start seeing this beta indicator throughout the application as you start creating emails using our new composer. Once we go GA, you will start to see a legacy indicator. So the beta pill will go away, and then you'll see something else, and that will just help you identify which emails are still using the old composer. Just some notes on general availability release that should be coming in the next future. Legacy content will remain available. It just won't open in the new composer. So have no fear. It's not going away. You're not losing any of the content that you had previously created. Anytime you start something in the new composer, though, that is where it will remain. It won't go back to the old composer. And if you have any specific questions on kind of what that means, how we'll have both composers for a period of time, feel free to reach out, but we will be sharing more information as we keep making progress, kind of sharing out the different areas this composer lives.
Awesome. So we see a ton of questions popping in to the Q&A and the chat. Olaf's been kind of answering those one off, and like I said, we're gonna have time, so we'll continue to stay on and walk through these. But what I wanted to do is also provide you all with some helpful links, and I'll drop these in the chat as well. So this was really just a very high level overview. Obviously, it's a lot to digest, especially if you haven't jumped into the new Composer yet. So first thing that we recommend that you do is log into Acton and go into that new Composer experience. Maybe there are some new emails that you're planning on building. Maybe there are some templates that you use really frequently that need a refresh, or that you just want to get into this new Composer. That's probably a really good place to start. Definitely, you probably want to start with something in mind versus just a completely blank canvas. But I recommend jumping in there, starting to play with the new Composer. And our team has set up office hour sessions to answer any of your questions one-on-one, to go through maybe something that's confusing. We definitely recognize this is a new way to think about building emails, with all of the rows, pulling those rows in, and then being able to customize each row specifically to tailor exactly what your design needs are. So I will drop this link in the chat. We have dedicated email Composer office hour sessions happening through the remainder of this week. I realize that it's Wednesday and they're technically scheduled to end on Friday, but with launching of the new Composer in beta last week, we've kind of had that open window. If we see a spike, we are going to extend those, and then obviously we always have our support team available to answer any questions. And we do have office hours that are do take place weekly that you can sign up for. So please feel free to take advantage of those. And then feedback. So this is new to all of us, right? Like I mentioned, the marketing team has had the opportunity to be playing around with this for quite some time, and we love it. But we have provided some feedback to the team along the way, and I imagine that that's something that all of you are going to want to do as well. So we also encourage you to please ping us via our support ticket system and submit your feedback, and we will be able to track all of the feedback and then get back to you on when that gets updated. So I'll go ahead and drop those links in the chat, and then Maggie and Olaf, I'm going to hand it back over to you to answer some of these questions that are continuing to pop in.
Okay, so let me take a shot at all. There's a lot of questions, so thank you very much, everybody, for that. So I'll kind of go from bottom up and see how we do. So what are you recommending for legacy templates? Can they be used with new Composer, or there is a new conversion tool? So we're working on that. I would say at the moment, we don't have a conversion tool. So most likely you would need to recreate templates in new Composer. Somebody else asked about can content be created in one Composer using the other. It cannot. So any content created in the legacy Composer stays in legacy Composer. Content created in new Composer stays in the new Composer. I've had 3 people ask about not seeing the beta pill and not seeing the new Composer. So to be clear, you only get the beta pill if you have created a email with a new Composer. So you won't see that purple pill. However, everybody should be seeing, when you go to outbound new message, you should see that banner that allows you to access the new Composer. So if that's not there, please do reach out to support and we'll get that fixed for you, because everybody should have that at the moment. There's a question, will we be able to view the HTML for the entire email or still only in separate containers? So you can only in the new Composer view HTML for the view and edit for the blocks, the HTML blocks themselves. You can download the entire HTML and view it, but in terms of editing, it's only the HTML blocks. Question, is there a way to condense and resize the table? I'm not 100% sure what that question is about. You can change the padding of the content block the table is in, but mostly the table configuration has to do with a number of rows and columns. So this would be a great one to bring to office hours if you've tried it and it's not coming across the way that you want. It looks like Janina, you noticed a bug, so please do, we'll follow up on that, but if you have a chance, please do report that to our support team. Question on, can we see a demo live solutions to these questions if there's time? This is another great option for office hours. So if you show up, then we can kind of walk you through anything that you're interested in. Is there a question? Is there an estimate for when the GA release will be? We're planning that right now, so we'll communicate that to everybody when we have it, but not yet. And yes, you can add background images. And let's see. Is there a feature to pull over templates? Yeah, so same answer as before. So currently you cannot take an old template and open it in the new Composer. So a couple of questions on that. Vertical alignment tool. Yeah, so the vertical alignment tool, basically when you have a row and you have content blocks in that row, it lets you align them either top, middle, or bottom. That's how that works. And yeah, so more questions about is being rolled to everybody. Yes, it is. And yeah, the question on, can we review, edit the code for the new row properties like stacking and vertical alignment? No, the only time that you can view and edit HTML code is in a HTML module that you have created, although you can download HTML. So a couple of questions on that.
Like there was another question on personalization in the subject line. Right.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can personalize in the subject line. So subject line personalization, now you have a kind of a selector, you can go in, you can find the field that you want, yeah, and then you put it in. It'll come across a little bit different. It'll be shown as like a pill rather than the bracket, first dot name, bracket as we have today. Let me see if anything else came in while we were talking. Can you have a continuous background image for multiple rows? No, the background images are on a per row basis or the background of the entire, or the entire email. And question, do you recommend designing in an Adobe program or using Acton? I think this would be another great question to bring to office hours, depending on what kind of layout you're doing. You know, you're going to probably get better results if you start in Acton, but that depends on kind of what you're trying to do. Can you share the link where we need to create the new account to get new Beta Composer? So a question from Katie. You can, if you go to Appbound new message, you'll see in the kind of selector a purple banner that directs you to the new Composer. So that's probably the easiest way to get there. Question from Josie, has anyone had issues with saving the new Composer? It said saved on top. When I closed out and went to look for the email, it had not saved. That's definitely something that you should report to our support team. That shouldn't be happening, because when you start to work with the Composer, autosave should turn on right away. So yeah, definitely reach out to support. So we shouldn't have any issues with work being done and not getting saved. So other questions coming in, can buttons be saved like rows can be saved? Yes, yeah, we have a button, component, so you would drag that into a row and then save that out. So the thing that is saved is a row, but you can put whatever you want into that row.
And I
Well,
will say, it's really nice, the way that the new editor works is all of your recent colors that you have used automatically populate and you can pick that. So I know in our legacy composer, usually when you were adding a CTA or a button, you had to go in and you had to actually type in the hex code for the color that you wanted that button to be. That's no longer the case with the new composer. It's really easy. You just select from your recently used colors, and you're good to go.
yeah. Let's see. Will old syntax still work for personalization? No, you do need to use the new method.
And Olaf, we've got another one about preview text field and the survey poll block. Are these going to be supported?
Let me find that here really quick.
It's in the Q&A.
The preview text field. Trying to think of what that is.
You
Oh,
can't preview the
text.
email.
But preview is this is from Karen.
Yeah.
She may have been talking about the subject line. So there is still a preview text option within the subject line when you're building out the email. I
Mhm.
think we just didn't highlight that because there wasn't anything that necessarily changed there. I think
Yeah.
that's what you might be talking about, Karen. But then
Yeah.
the survey and the poll block is another question she had.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah. So I think that is the same. Let's see. Anything else? If I sent to a certain couple of segments in the past email, can I duplicate that sent email and the segments will carry over? Yeah, I believe that was a feature request, and I do think we have that, but that may be something we have to double check on. One thing that we can do is we've in the past taken all the questions from a webinar and then mailed it back out to folks, so we can do that here. So anything that we didn't answer or wasn't clear, we'll go ahead and type that out. And Katie just said, I don't have the option when I click outbound new message. Yeah, so please do reach out to support. We can also look up your account as well, but we'll get that resolved for you because everybody should have it. And Karen's asking, will dynamic content blocks work the same ways they do now? They are different in that there is no else. So whereas today you can say if this, else that, else that. Today it's just a if this, then that. So you can stack them, but there isn't like a else. But otherwise they work the same. So you can personalize the content. Make the content conditional, as you did before. Yep. And question, is autosave optional? I don't believe you can turn off autosave. It'll turn on. However, you do now have undo redo, so you can see all of your changes. I think there's a limit of 15, so you can track backwards in those changes, and you can undo kind of where you're at. Any plans for changes on reporting, or is the beta for the composer only? So we separately we will be upgrading email reports in the future, but this particular release is only related to the composer, if that's the question. And can we select a block and go into the HTML settings still? No, so the only blocks that allow you to edit HTML are HTML blocks. And what happens when people do not meet the conditions of a new conditional content? They see nothing if there is no. Yeah, that's correct. So if you have a dynamic content block and there is no condition met, then nothing will appear.
Just one comment on that, though. You could make 2 mutually exclusive dynamic content blocks to make sure, and then you can preview by dynamic content block as well. So if you're concerned about somebody getting something blank, if you make the two mutually exclusive, then one group will receive one and everyone else should receive the other one.
Yeah, and Joy asked, can we save HTML blocks just like we would with the save rows? So again, the thing that's saved is a row, so you could just put a single HTML block into that row and save that. So you could save a row with multiple columns, multiple blocks, or you could save a row that's just a row with one block in it. Yeah, and the question about improved checks and validations, so that is available in the review and send tab. So when you go to review and send, then you'll see all those individual. So there's just more checks going on in the background, and they're categorized by those groups that Maggie showed. Do we need to redo any automated emails in New Email Composer, or can you keep the automation as is? So you can keep them as is. Currently you can edit them via the legacy composer, but that's going to be converted over as well. So you will eventually need to convert those if you want to edit them or modify them.
But as of today, just to be clear, you don't need to do anything to any of
Right.
your existing automated programs. They're all just fine and are going to continue to run as they are scheduled.
Yep. And Joy asked, in the test email sends, once we add an email as a recipient, will that email be saved for future use? No, it's not. So the feature where you just add somebody in who is not on your test list or not on the list, that's just a convenience so that person gets the email. But if you want to have a kind of continuing set of individuals on there, then you need to add them to your test list eventually. Well, thank you for all the questions. We will summarize these and get them out. There were some common themes in there. I think the main things I heard were questions on conversion. So again, we don't have a conversion utility at the moment. Questions around not seeing the new composer. So if you don't see it, please reach out to support. Everybody should have it. And I think those are the top two. There was lots of questions around HTML as well. So again, only HTML blocks allow you to edit that HTML.
That was great. Well, thank you everyone for staying on and for asking questions. And I think that we were able to answer all the questions live, but I really like that idea, Olaf. So we'll make sure to get a list out of all of the questions, because that'll be helpful for anybody that wasn't able to attend as well. But like we said, keep the questions coming, getting there, use the new composer. We're super excited to hear your feedback. I did put the links in the chat to submit feedback, and we'll include that in the follow-up as well, just so you have it all in one place. But with that, thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day and happy email building. We'll see you later.